Last week, as I was being dropped off at Charlotte's airport, a woman was sitting in the back seat of the car, and she was going to some kind of a meeting with the land developer or the builder. And she said that a few years ago her daughter died, and then 6 months later her husband died in a car accident, and she pretty much lost in 1 year, lost her child and lost her husband. And so I'm asking her, I'm like, how are you doing? And she's like, you know what, I'm doing better than I wish. I'm doing better than I thought I could be doing. She's like, I'm actually going in to close on the land, on the house in Charlotte, but I live in California. I said, how are you? Are you into some kind of a business or anything? She's like, no. In fact, when my husband died, I had 4 children. And I knew that I could stay and cry, or I realized that God is still with me. I couldn't stop what happened to him, but at the same time, God is with me. She said, I pulled myself up. I went back to school. I got an accounting degree. I didn't have money, she said, to even pay for my bills. But I had a dream that one day I will support the ministry, particular ministry that she made reference to. She says, I had a big dream from God. She says, one thing led to another. I finished the school. I got a better job. Now I invest in other states. She said, Vlad, I don't even know nothing about investing. She says, I'm an investor now, and I build houses in Charlotte, but I live in California. My future was not connected to someone who died. As precious as Moses is, as valuable as he is, as attached as Joshua was to Moses, it was his mentor, but God's plan was not connected to Moses, it was connected to his word. And because Moses died, the mission did not. Because Moses died, the calling did not. In fact, it launched Joshua into his own calling when Moses died. I just want to encourage someone who had someone leave your life. I want to encourage someone who maybe lost someone and you feel like, I don't know where to go from this. I don't know, my life is over. But your life is not over. That person maybe has left you, or maybe they died, but God's purpose and plan is still active. In fact, when God changes seasons, He does so sometimes by removing people. I don't want to come off as saying that you should start celebrating somebody who passed away. That is not in any way indication of my message. But if some people left you, that means that they were not supposed to be there permanently. Let them go. When you build a building, you put on scaffolding. And scaffolding is there to build a building. You cannot build a building without a scaffolding. But once you finish building a building, you remove the scaffolding. When God removes the scaffolding, it means a certain season of your life is come to an end. You cannot attach yourself to the scaffolding and say, I want that back. Scaffolding does not belong all the time in your house. There are people in your life, they come for a reason and they come for a season. And if God removes the scaffolding, listen, cry a river, build a bridge, and walk over that bridge, because you're walking into a new season of your life. I like what God says in here. He says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise. The funeral is over. The crying is done. He says, now, arise. And what did He say? And He says, arise and go over. That's why I say, cry a river, build a bridge, and get over this Jordan into the land that I have promised you. What does that mean? That means that when God removes someone, it's time to move forward. I remember this sermon from our pastor a long time ago. I was a teenager. Our church just started. We had this family. We were very, very small. But this particular family was very influential in Tri-Cities. And this family, the wife was a prophetess. So she gave prophecies. Now, in the Russian culture, a prophet is another word for the pastor, apostle, evangelist combined into one. A lot of times in the Russian culture, a prophet controls the pastor, the church, God, and everybody. In a lot of cases, okay? Just saying. In American culture, the prophet is completely different. I feel like they got it right. In our culture, it's a little bit different. This lady, I was there at the meetings when I was 14 and 13 years of age, when our church was forming. And God used her to prophesy our church into existence. Meaning she gave prophetic words to our pastor. She gave prophetic words that our church will exist, that God will use our church to impact the community and the world. Our pastor was strengthened because of the prophetic words she given. But then something happened. She did not like the pastor. She did not like the church. She did not like our style of worship. In fact, her and her husband, mainly her husband, they caused so much headache to our pastor. And they were really speaking negative things. They were never happy in the church. Our church was so small, so you can see who's not happy, because there's like, 2 rows. And so very difficult to miss the unhappy faces. Now you can just put your head down and not be seen. And I remember tensions that I was hearing, because it was a very small church. I heard these rumors, the gossip, what they were saying. And then one day, they decided to announce that they do not like where this church is headed to, and that they are going to leave. See, right now, if somebody leaves, it won't be noticeable. But at that time, it's a whole row that's gone. And we only have 3 of them. It's very noticeable. It's very painful. What will others think? And I heard about the fact the pastor on one Friday night spent all Friday in prayer. And he got up on Sunday morning. I still remember that sermon. He preached a sermon that says, the sword of the Lord and the sword of a Gideon. And he preached this. He says, if somebody cannot say in our church, the sword of God and the sword of Pastor Vasily, you can go. And they left. And I remember sitting, I'm a young guy, I'm just watching all of this, and I was like, oh my God, what did Pastor do? I was like, maybe we should have changed the vision for them. But Pastor did not shift the vision of the church that they prophesied about, just because their perspective, their ideology changed. And he did not allow their exit to stop the vision of the church, to stop what God called him to do. It was painful. Did it hurt? Oh yeah. It brought a lot of rumors. It brought a lot of gossip against our church. It brought different things, because everywhere they went, they said negative things about our church. But one thing that did not happen is Pastor felt like just because they left, but they helped to strengthen the church in the beginning, and now it hurts. Arise and go over. And I am thankful to the pastor that he did not allow what they said to bring our church down, and to realize that they helped us up to this point. But just because they want to leave, that does not mean that what God is doing has to stop. It just means they're the scaffolding. We don't hate him. We take him apart and say, God bless you. Go build someone else's house. But we have to move forward. I want to encourage somebody in this room who maybe was there to help you to get to this point. And right now, you feel intimidated, you feel scared, because they just announced that they're leaving your business. They just announced that they no longer want to be associated with you. Maybe they just announced that I'm leaving you and I want to do nothing with you. I want to encourage you, arise. Don't live in rejection. Don't live in poor little me. Don't live with God abandoned me. If God took the Moses, that means He's taking His promise. No. Maybe it is your time. Maybe the season has shifted. Maybe God is planning something, you don't see it yet. Arise and go over. It's time to move. It's time to wipe those tears. Pull yourself up and stand on the promise of God and say, what man meant for evil, God will use it for His good. Jeremiah 29:11, it says, for I know the thoughts that I think of you, says the Lord, the thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you future and to give you hope. In Romans chapter 8 verse 28, the Bible says is that God plans good things for those who love Him and to those who are called according to His purpose. And so we have to stand our ground that God is up for something good. You may say, but I got left. But He died. But He walked away. He gave me a divorce papers. But He already moved on with someone else. My life is over. It's not over, because it's not connected to him, her and them. It's connected to God, who says to Joshua, as I was with Moses, I will be with you.